Growing up in a small town in Illinois, Henry Carter believed life would eventually reveal all the secrets he needed. He never felt the rush to figure things out early. His parents, Robert and Sandra, were practical, modest folks who ran a family-owned hardware store and spent weekends working on the yard or attending church. Henry, however, always had a restless spirit. He was curious, distracted, often wondering if there was more to life than routines and habits passed down from generation to generation. When he turned 18, Henry moved to Chicago to attend college. The city life was chaotic and liberating. He pursued journalism, fascinated by stories and human nature. But what he didn't know was that he was about to start gathering the most important lessons of his life, not from textbooks or lectures, but from his own experiences, missteps, and people who'd cross his path. The first lesson came unexpectedly during his sophomore year. He was dating a girl named Melissa, sweet and ambitious, but both too young to understand love. One day, she abruptly ended things. She said she felt like she was growing while Henry was stuck. That night, while staring out his dorm window at the snow falling quietly on the campus lawn, Henry understood his first real truth. No one is responsible for your growth except you. Relationships, while beautiful, aren't meant to carry your evolution. You must keep growing even if others don't walk beside you. From then on, Henry began keeping a leather-bound notebook. He didn't know why, but he started jotting down insights, brief reflections, lessons that seemed to strike him like lightning. One of the first entries read, "Never let comfort convince you that you're happy. Growth is uncomfortable, but necessary." That notebook would follow him through decades, filled with exactly 70 lessons that would, in time, become his compass. After graduation, Henry became a local reporter. He wrote about politics, crime, community events, anything that paid the bills. But deep inside, he longed for something more. That's when he met Walter Adams, a retired war veteran he was assigned to interview for a piece on Memorial Day. Walter was in his 70s, with a sharp mind and a kind face. During the interview, Henry asked, "What's one thing you wish more young people understood about life?" Walter chuckled and said, "That the clock is ticking whether you're paying attention or not. Learn what matters and live like you mean it." That stayed with Henry. He added it to his notebook. "Time is a silent thief. Don't waste it living someone else's dream." He moved up in his career, got married at 30 to a graphic designer named Rachel, and had 2 kids, Liam and Sophie. While life at first felt like the dream he had worked for, he slowly began to lose touch with himself. He was busy, always busy, chasing deadlines, promotions, saving for college funds, arguing about chores and bills. One evening, he came home to find Liam waiting up with his school projects spread across the floor. "I waited for you, Dad," Liam said. "You promised you'd help me with this." Henry felt a pang in his chest. He had forgotten. Again. That night, sitting at the kitchen table while helping glue popsicle sticks onto a model bridge, Henry realized another life truth. Presence is the greatest gift you can give your loved ones. Not money. Not things. Just you. He started prioritizing differently. He turned down a high-paying job in New York because it would take him away from his family. Instead, he started writing a column that focused on everyday wisdom. His readers loved it. Raw, thoughtful reflections on how to live better. People sent letters, emails, comments flooded in. One man wrote, "Your story about apologizing to your son made me call my father for the first time in years." Life moved on, and so did the lessons. Henry faced loss too. His mother passed away from cancer when he was 42. At the hospital, just before she slipped away, she held his hand and whispered, "Don't carry guilt like a suitcase. Travel light." That line broke him and then rebuilt him. He added it to the notebook. "Let go of guilt. Forgive yourself often." After she passed, Henry took a solo road trip for the first time in his life. He drove through Colorado, Utah, and Nevada, sleeping in cheap motels and sometimes in the back of his old SUV. Somewhere along the cliffs of the Grand Canyon, sitting silently with a sunrise that painted the earth in gold, he realized something deeper. Nature doesn't rush, yet everything gets done. Stop sprinting through life. In Nevada, he met an old man named Jake at a diner. Jake was retired, wore suspenders, and had a smile that could warm cold coffee. They chatted about love, work, failure. Jake shared how he once lost everything in a failed business, how he almost gave up, but then found peace in simplicity. "You don't need to have it all to be content," Jake said. "You just need to be okay with what you do have." Henry scribbled, "Gratitude is a choice, not a result. Practice it daily." When Henry turned 50, his daughter Sophie left for college. She hugged him at the airport and said, "Thank you for teaching me how to be strong without being hard." He didn't cry until she was gone. That night he wrote, "Raising kind humans is more important than raising successful ones." Then came the hard years. Rachel was diagnosed with early-onset Parkinson's. The woman who once danced barefoot in the kitchen now struggled to tie her shoelaces. Henry became her full-time caregiver. It was devastating. Some days he broke down in the bathroom, hiding from the kids so they wouldn't see. But in those quiet, heavy moments, he discovered another truth. Real love shows itself in service. Not in words, not in photos, but in sacrifice. Over time, Henry learned the difference between reacting and responding. He used to snap at problems. Now he breathed through them. One day, while at a support group for caregivers, someone asked how he remained so patient. He smiled and replied, "I stopped fighting life. I started dancing with it." Lesson 65. When Henry turned 65, his son Liam surprised him with a leather-bound gift. It was Henry's own notebook, reprinted, beautifully bound, with every lesson typed out, formatted and preserved. On the cover it read, "70 life lessons that made my father who he is." Henry cried. Not because he felt accomplished, but because someone had paid attention. He knew he wasn't done learning, but he could finally list the final 5 truths that shaped him into the man he became. These were the hardest earned and the simplest in form. Speak less. Listen more. Your ego isn't your friend. Peace is the real success. You never really own anything. Everything is borrowed, from time to people. Live like your story will be someone else's survival guide. Henry passed away at 83, surrounded by family. His last words spoken to Sophie were, "Don't just exist, live." His notebook now sits on her desk, read often, quoted often, and shared across generations. And though Henry Carter is gone, the 70 lessons he lived by continue to whisper their truth to those willing to pause, listen, and learn them just once, so that they might improve their lives forever.